Welcome to our journey through time, exploring the most significant wars and battles fought by the pharaohs of ancient Egypt. For thousands of years, the land of the Nile was a cradle of civilization, a beacon of knowledge and power in a world still shrouded in shadow. But power, like the shifting sands of the desert, can be fleeting. These conflicts not only shaped the history of Egypt, but also had profound impacts on the region and the world. From the unification of Upper and Lower Egypt to the clashes with empires that spanned continents, we'll witness the rise and fall of dynasties, the clash of armies, and the enduring legacy of these ancient struggles. The stories of these battles are more than just tales of conquest and defeat. They offer us a glimpse into the lives, beliefs, and ambitions of people who lived millennia ago. Our journey begins not on a battlefield, but with a vision. The dream of a united Egypt. Before the pharaohs, before the pyramids, the land we call Egypt was divided. Two kingdoms, Upper and Lower Egypt, each with their own rulers, their own customs, their own destinies. It was amidst this backdrop of division that a ruler from the south, a king known as Narmer, would change the course of history. Narmer's ambition was as vast as the desert that bordered his kingdom. He envisioned a single Egypt, a unified land stretching from the Nile Delta to the First Cataract. But such a dream would come at a cost. The kings of Lower Egypt would not relinquish their power easily. They resisted, leading to a series of conflicts that tested Narmer's strategic brilliance and the might of his armies. The exact details of these battles are lost to the mists of time, but we catch glimpses of them in the fragments of pottery, the inscriptions on temple walls, the echoes of legends passed down through generations. These tell a tale of fierce combat, of cunning strategies, and ultimately of Narmer's decisive victory, a victory that would lay the foundation for 3,000 years of pharaonic rule. South of Egypt, beyond the rapids of the Nile, lay a land the Egyptians called Nubia. Rich in gold, in exotic goods, and in a proud people who would become both rivals and partners to the pharaohs. It was during the reign of Sneferu, founder of the Fourth Dynasty, that Egypt's gaze turned south with renewed intensity. Sneferu, a builder of pyramids, a ruler known for his prosperity, also understood that true power lay in securing one's borders. The Nubians, skilled warriors and keen traders, posed both a challenge and an opportunity. Military expeditions were launched not merely to conquer, but to establish dominance, to control the flow of trade, and to tap into the wealth of Nubia. These campaigns were brutal, marked by both victory and setback, yet they also led to cultural exchange, to the integration of Nubian soldiers into the Egyptian army, and to the establishment of Egyptian forts and trading posts that stretched deep into Nubia. The legacy of Sneferu and his successors was an Egypt enriched and empowered by the resources and the resilience of its southern neighbor. The name Khufu echoes through time, forever linked to the Great Pyramid, a testament to human ambition and engineering genius. But Khufu's reign wasn't solely defined by monumental architecture. He also inherited a kingdom with ever-expanding borders and ambitions. His gaze fell east, towards the Sinai Peninsula, a land of rugged mountains and unforgiving deserts, but also a land rich in copper and turquoise, resources vital to the Egyptian economy. To secure these resources, Khufu launched a series of military expeditions into the Sinai. These weren't large-scale conquests, but rather targeted campaigns against local tribes who controlled access to the mines and trade routes. We see evidence of these expeditions not just in grand pronouncements, but in the gritty details left behind: graffiti carved by soldiers on canyon walls, fragments of weapons, and the skeletal remains of those who never returned home. These glimpses into the past tell a tale of hardship and danger, of soldiers braving scorching heat and hostile tribes to secure the resources that fueled the Egyptian war machine and adorned its elite. Khufu's Sinai campaigns may not have been his most celebrated achievements, but they were essential in maintaining Egypt's prosperity and influence. Imagine, if you will, a time of upheaval when Egypt, the land that had known centuries of stability, was brought to its knees by invaders from the east. These were the Hyksos, a foreign people with superior weaponry and a ruthlessness that shocked the Egyptians. They swept into the Nile Delta, toppling cities, shattering the old order, and ushering in a period of foreign rule that would forever be etched in Egyptian memory as a time of humiliation. The Hyksos, with their horse-drawn chariots and composite bows, represented a new kind of warfare, one that the Egyptians, accustomed to fighting on foot with bronze weapons, were ill-prepared for. For over a century, the Hyksos ruled over much of Lower Egypt, their kings adopting Egyptian titles and customs while imposing their own culture and beliefs. But the spirit of resistance never truly died. In the south, a new dynasty arose, led by kings who vowed to liberate Egypt from the Hyksos yoke. It was Thutmose, a brilliant strategist and a fierce warrior who would finally achieve what had once seemed impossible: the expulsion of the Hyksos and the reunification of Egypt. Thutmose III, considered by some to be Napoleon of ancient Egypt, inherited a kingdom poised for greatness. The Hyksos had been vanquished, Egypt's borders were secure, and its armies were eager for new conquests. Thutmose, a master strategist and a ruthless leader, set his sights on the wealthy cities and fertile lands of the Levant, a region that encompassed modern-day Syria, Lebanon, and Israel. What followed was a series of dazzling military campaigns that spanned 2 decades and transformed Egypt into an empire. Thutmose, often leading his armies from the front, proved himself to be a brilliant tactician, outmaneuvering his enemies at every turn. From the siege of Megiddo, a battle that became legendary for its audacity and Thutmose's tactical genius, to the conquest of Kadesh, a key city on the Orontes River, Thutmose's armies were virtually unstoppable. His campaigns brought untold wealth back to Egypt: gold, silver, precious stones, exotic animals, and thousands of slaves. But more importantly, they established Egypt as the dominant power in the Near East, its influence stretching from the banks of the Nile to the Euphrates River. Ramses II the Great, the pharaoh who built more monuments and statues of himself than perhaps any other, was also a warrior king who sought to cement Egypt's dominance in the Near East. But by the time Ramses ascended to the throne, a new power had arisen to challenge Egypt's might: the Hittite Empire. The Hittites, based in what is now Turkey, were a formidable foe, possessing advanced weaponry, including iron weapons, and a sophisticated military organization. The inevitable clash between these two titans occurred at the city of Kadesh, located in modern-day Syria, a strategically vital city that controlled important trade routes. What transpired was one of the largest chariot battles in history, a clash of thousands of warriors that raged for hours. Ramses, nearly caught in a Hittite ambush, fought with legendary courage, rallying his troops and ultimately claiming victory, though the battle itself was more of a draw. The Sea Peoples Merneptah and the Libyan Wars. The reign of Merneptah, Ramses II's son, marked a turning point in Egyptian history. The Near East was in turmoil, with new waves of invaders, collectively known as the Sea Peoples, sweeping across the lands, destabilizing kingdoms and threatening Egypt's borders. Among these threats, the Libyans, fierce tribesmen from the west, posed a particular challenge. They raided across the Egyptian border, disrupting trade and threatening the stability of the Nile Delta. Merneptah, though an aging king, rose to the challenge, leading his armies west to confront the Libyan threat. The ensuing campaigns were brutal and bloody, but Merneptah, drawing upon his father's legacy and his own military experience, achieved a decisive victory. Inscriptions from his reign boast of crushing defeats inflicted upon the Libyans, of thousands slain, and of order restored to Egypt's western frontier. Yet the victory was a Pyrrhic one. The Black Pharaoh Taharqa and the Assyrian threat. By the 7th century BC, the balance of power in the Near East had shifted once more. The mighty Assyrian Empire, with its ruthless armies and insatiable appetite for conquest, had emerged as the dominant force, swallowing up kingdoms and threatening to extinguish the once mighty Egyptian Empire. It was during this tumultuous time that Taharqa, a Nubian king who ruled Egypt as pharaoh of the 25th dynasty, found himself facing the full might of the Assyrian war machine. Taharqa, a devout man who saw himself as the divinely appointed savior of Egypt, rallied his forces and prepared for the inevitable confrontation. Despite his piety and his military prowess, Taharqa was unable to stem the Assyrian tide. The Assyrians, masters of siege warfare and brutal efficiency, overran Egyptian defenses, sacked cities, and eventually drove Taharqa back to his Nubian homeland. Twilight of the Pharaohs, the Persian Conquest. The Persian Empire, under its ambitious king Cambyses II, had conquered much of the Near East, its armies sweeping across Anatolia, down through Syria and Palestine, and finally to the borders of Egypt. The once mighty Egypt, weakened by internal strife and the relentless pressure from its enemies, was a shadow of its former self. Standing against this Persian onslaught was Psamtik III, the last native Egyptian pharaoh. Psamtik, facing overwhelming odds, gathered what forces he could muster and prepared to make his stand at Pelusium, a strategic city guarding the eastern approaches to Egypt. The Battle of Pelusium, fought in 525 BC, was a disaster for the Egyptians. The Persian army, larger, better equipped, and led by experienced generals, made short work of the Egyptian forces. Psamtik was captured, and Egypt, the land of the pharaohs, was absorbed into the vast Persian Empire, marking the end of an era. Legacies in stone. The sands of time have swallowed many details of these epic battles and wars, but their echoes still resonate. They defined the reigns of the pharaohs, shaping the destiny of a civilization that left an indelible mark on the annals of history. As we stand in the shadow of the pyramids or marvel at the inscriptions on temple walls, we're reminded of the courage, the ambition, and the ingenuity of the people who fought and died in these ancient struggles. Their stories serve as a reminder that the past is not merely a collection of names and dates, but a tapestry woven from the lives of real people who loved, who dreamed, and who fought for what they believed in. And though their world may seem distant, the lessons we glean from their triumphs and failures remain as relevant as ever. Join us next time as we delve deeper into the fascinating world of ancient civilizations.